Assalamu alaikum shabab, and welcome again. We were just talking about prokaryotic. At the last lecture we were talking just little details about prokaryotic, and now we just have more details about it. As we know, prokaryotic, it's a developed cell because of primitive in structure. It have very little structures and have nuclei. Its own genetic material in cytoplasm lack nuclear membrane, so it's called nucleus zone or nucleoid. What's meaning of nucleoid? Nucleoid is genetic material in cytoplasm of bacteria without nuclear membrane and no nucleus. Cytoplasm without membranous organelles, for example, the membranous organelles like mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, lysosomes, and etc. Cytoplasm have only non-membranous organelles like ribosomes, which these structures, most structures have ability to build protein. Prokaryotic cells is represented by blue-green algae, bacteria, and mycoplasma. This is characteristic. If they ask you about what are the characteristic, they ask you what are or list the characteristic of prokaryotic or a blue-green algae or bacteria or mycoplasma. We can say it is undeveloped. It's meaning a primitive cell. Why? Because of the primitive in structure, because it have a primitive structure. We call it primitive or prokaryotic because it have a primitive and simple structures. The second thing, that its own genetic material in cytoplasm that's lack, meaning without nuclear membrane, so we call it zone, so it's called, or we name it this zone, so we called it nucleus zone or nucleoid. Nucleoid, what's meaning of nucleoid? It's genetic materials or nucleus zone in cytoplasm, as the definition is, cytoplasm of bacteria, or you can say or prokaryotic cell without nuclear membrane and no nucleus and no nucleus. Or the third thing, that cytoplasm without membranous organelles. What's meaning of organelles? It's smaller than structure from the cell. It's smallest structures we just find in cytoplasm, like mitochondria. And etc. As you know, Golgi apparatus, lysosome. And fourth thing, cytoplasm have only non-membranous organelles like ribosomes. It have only ribosomes. Which have ability or can build protein. We can see it represented prokaryotic cell. Is represented by blue-green algae, and bacteria. Algae, bacteria, and mycoplasma. This is the smallest living organisms on the earth. It's called mycoplasma. It's just like bacteria without envelope. So they ask us about the characteristics. What are the characteristics of bacteria, of prokaryotic, of the molecular kingdom? You can say this, and this is important things that are what. And we have now say it's undeveloped cell, and its own genetic material have, we called it nucleoid or nucleosome. Cytoplasm without membranous organelles. It only have ribosomes that it have ability to build a protein, and it's composed of a protein and RNA. Prokaryotic cells is presented by blue-green algae, bacteria, and mycoplasma. It have a cell wall. It have cell wall and cell membrane. If they ask about the cell wall composed chemically, what are the structure chemically? What are the structure chemically of cell wall? We can answer it's composed of a protein, lipids, and sugars or polysaccharides. Polysaccharides. This is a chemically composition of cell wall. Now, this is about prokaryotic cell, and it's just the smallest cell we can find it in the environment. Now we're talking enough about the prokaryotes. What is the important drawing? This is as you see, this is very important drawing. We can draw it as we can. Just this is envelope, and this is structure that's for protection of the bacteria body, and just surrounded by cilia. This is appendix structures using for moving, and even maybe some types of it maybe have flagella that's using to move. And if we just find cell wall surrounded the cell membrane, this is cell wall which surrounded the cytoplasm, the cell membrane, sorry. And there another one, we called it cell membrane. We called it cell membrane. We called it cell membrane, and there is inside the cytoplasm we just find nucleoid or nucleosome with little small granules. We call it ribosomes. This is a nucleoid, and this is ribosomes. This is very simple drawing of bacteria. It's very important in the ministry examination or ministry question. And note for note, the cell wall, the chemical compound or chemical structure of cell wall, it It composed of, in bacteria, only in bacteria, because the cell wall in bacteria different entirely with the cell wall of the plant. Cell wall composed of protein and fat with polysaccharide. This is chemical composition. If they ask you about the chemical composition of cell wall of bacteria, you can answer that it's composed of protein, fats, and polysaccharides. This is about prokaryotic. I wish you understand something about their characteristics and how can it be seen. Now they just you can find this characteristics in the subject, and in summarize, they say that cell covering, cell wall, and plasma membrane, cytoplasm, it consists of nucleoid and ribosomes. Only two things we can find in cytoplasm: nucleoid or nucleus zone, and ribosomes that have ability to build protein inside the cytoplasm. What about the suffix? The suffix we can find flagella or fimbriae and six pili. What about this six pili? This is six pili. We just find it in sometimes of bacteria that dealing to the kinds of the six of it. It just produced from the cytoplasm. This is, we called it six pili. Okay. Now we have to talk about the eukaryotic one. Eukaryotic cells.